Uh-huh. Hello, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It's time for our Twitter Spaces again. It's come around quick, isn't it?
It
Tuesdays, they
has.
sort of fly through. Feels like yesterday our last Twitter
Well, we were
Space.
talking to Pax, weren't we, about decoding
Yeah,
behaviour, and that was really interesting.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
We love doing Twitter Spaces. They're sort of topical conversations of something that we're passionate about.
absolutely.
And tonight we're passionate about getting information out to schools about the Ofsted Inspection Handbook. So yeah, it's going to be a good one, and I'm quite pleased with what I've read so far.
Yeah, I mean, they are making changes,
They are
and it's
making
making it
changes.
in the paperwork, and so in the documentation, they're actually very clear guidelines to support head teachers and school leaders in school, which we're
Mm,
really passionate about getting
mm.
more of for, because we don't want another case of Ruth Perry, do we?
No, definitely
And
not.
this is where this had all come about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so,
yeah. Very you know, optimistic, I think, is the right word to use. I mean, we were one of the organisations that wrote to Ofsted on 2 occasions,
yeah,
um, asking for change, and in a balanced view. I think to be fair, we do want an inspection system, but and so far so good. I think let's dive in and see what we all can
so I'm
think
Jonathan.
about it. And I'm Lucy, and we are Head Teacher Cat. We're
And
both school leaders,
yeah, you were
and
the head teacher, and I was
I
deputy CEO of an academy track.
that's right. And I was an acting head teacher, and what we've been looking at today and yesterday is the new and updated school inspection handbook, which has just been released yesterday. And it's new since Sir Martin Oliver took over as the new head of Ofsted, which is really good. And I think if we sort of dive into like the main changes, so people can feel like they're up to date, because if you've been in school, you've been busy, you may not have seen the kind of big changes. So
So, firstly, we need to talk about the enhanced clarity on inspectors' conduct.
yeah.
Ofsted has really emphasised on the professionalism and respect in the inspection process. I mean, Lucy, what's your take on that?
I think this is absolutely key, and it's very, very clear in the inspection framework, paragraph 9, actually. And they talk a lot about the fact that
I've got it
inspectors are
here.
going to uphold the highest professional standards. Yeah, you read that.
They will treat everyone they meet during inspection fairly and with the respect and sensitivity they deserve. Inspectors will work constructively with leaders and staff, demonstrating professionalism, courtesy, empathy, and respect at all times. And they're quite powerful words.
I mean, that's a very clear statement.
That is vague. Yeah.
And to be fair, threaded all the way through the handbook, it does say if leaders have any concerns, they can flag them up during the inspection. But we'll get onto that as we go along. But so, for the first point, the first update, it's all about the conduct of the inspector. So that's a refreshing change. And, sadly, it wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Let's hope that that has now made a big improvement.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot to cover this evening, so we're going to move quickly through each of the sections.
Mm.
That's probably the most important section. The second part is actually, it's basically involving leaders and governance in the inspection. So they've really clarified their role of what school leaders and governors can do in the inspection, and are much more that they are actually involved in the process, involved in the meeting. The one thing I really highlight, I think I need to highlight, is actually the Ofsted inspections will invite head teachers and chief executive officers, CEO of the trust,
Or their governor.
or their governors
Yeah.
to observe the inspection team meetings at the end of the day. I think it's an important change, is actually they're involved in that meeting
Yeah.
at the end of the day, decide what you're looking at next and what the next day entails, and looking at the thought processes of the inspectors for
Mm.
that ongoing process.
Yeah.
And all the way through the actual document, they're highlighting that when you have a meeting, you can bring someone else into the meeting with you. So you're not left alone
No.
talking to the inspections, see if it's the staff members, school leaders, governors, you can have other people involved in that process.
And I like the clarity around that. I like the clarity of the fact that school leaders are encouraged. Those are the words in the handbook. Head teachers are encouraged to invite somebody who normally deputises for them, for example, a deputy head teacher, to join the meetings and to join the phone calls, for example. So I mean that's very clear and very, very good. And then the next thing is, and this was also talked about on the BBC yesterday, this next point. The BBC did a report on Sir Martin Oliver's updates to the inspection handbook. And he was saying via the BBC that, schools can now ask for a pause or a deferral. Now, if you need information about that, I suggest that you do refer to the school inspection handbook. There is quite a section on how to defer, but the advice that I gleaned from reading the handbook was you must do it as early as you can, so preferably before the inspection starts. So during the first initial phone call, you can request a deferral, for example.
And so if I read paragraph 89, while it's important that we carry out our planned inspections wherever possible, sometimes there may be reasons that our planned inspections may not go ahead, and so that the school may request a deferral of an inspection. The school may make a request during the initial notification phone call or at the earliest opportunities afterward, before the start of the inspection. So
Yeah,
it's very clear.
that bit is clear. Yeah. I think they're basically saying that if you want to defer after the start of the inspection, it would be a much harder task.
I think they would have to go and report it
There'd
to
be a lot more systems to
the
go
duty
through.
call.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
much different process that you
Yeah.
have to do for
So
that
they're
one.
encouraging, if you need to defer, you have the option to do so, but you must do it as early as possible. So that's a step forward. And then the next bit I think is really interesting about the fact that during the 2 telephone calls before the inspection, I was pleased with this update.
Yeah, I think it's an
So,
important change.
for those of you who don't know, we've got a template on our website about getting ready for these 2 phone calls. So I went through every single point yesterday and checked to make sure that our templates were still up to date. And I made those changes. And there were quite a few really good ones I noticed.
So what do you think were the most important ones there?
The most important one to me was the fact that again, I'm going to reiterate this point because it's important and it's one of the things that we all, many people who rode to Ofsted called for, is the fact that, we don't want leaders on their own. So in the initial conversation and the educationally focused conversation, the 2 telephone calls before the inspection, head teachers are encouraged to have somebody with them during those phone calls. They can have a break and they can have someone to take minutes.
Which is quite, because they're quite stressful, and
Yeah.
from my own experience of going through them, is actually they are quite stressful, and you don't remember all the points of it
No.
because you're dealing with the actual questions, and
Yeah.
you're,
You're running a school.
you're running
You're
you're
running a
running a
school.
school and you're answering all the
And you just
questions.
happen to answer the phone. And it's busy. It's a busy environment. So you've got to be, it's nice to know that Ofsted are thinking about whether you're on your own or not. The other really important thing is one of the first questions they ask is who's responsible for your well-being and what's their contact details. There's a big focus about how is your well-being who looks after you, and how do we contact them?
Yeah,
That was a welcome thing for me to see
I
in
personally
the
like
handbook.
the split. So you know you're going to have the phone calls.
Hmm.
You're not doing it in one phone call. You can do it in 2 phone calls. So you can split up that information
Mm.
that you're sharing with the Ofsted inspection. So I think that's a big step forward for school leaders.
Yeah, definitely. They've also been a lot more clearer about what they're going to collect before the inspection. So there's a lot more clarity around there. And that's everything they collect is in the handbook. It's paragraph 103. I won't read them all because there looks like, I mean, I'm guessing, I haven't counted. There looks like there's about 15 or 20 bullet points, but they're things we always know, like website. They check the website, they look at publicly available information, they look at the parent view, they look at the IDSR, they look at the Multi Academy Trust Summary Evaluation Report if it's available or relevant. They look at any surveys or monitoring letters. So they've got a lot more clarity about exactly what it is that they look for. And I think that's good to see.
Okay, so moving on from the Ofsted phone call, which is I think is a step in the right direction is where they're going to.
Mm.
There's done much more clarification with meeting staff and parents. We touched on it earlier, but actually it's a much more emphasis on finding out the views of it, and it's a very much on the conversation of professional dialogue
Yeah.
with the leader. And there's one day, paragraph 252. A professional dialogue with leaders is vital for the understanding of the curriculum within that subject. Inspectors understand that subject leader works differently in different schools, especially in smaller schools,
Mm.
and will work within the context of each school.
So, and that's a key point actually. One of the things they ask for during your initial phone calls, your 2 phone calls, is who does what in your school? What is the leadership structure? Because every school has a different leadership structure. They need to know who's in charge of what and what's their role. And so that they can have those conversations and they can contact those sort of people. So having that to hand beforehand is always helpful, to having your pre-Ofsted file ready so that you're organised.
And it also points out in another paragraph, again, this is the same, the core view of what Ofsted are trying to do.
Mm.
During the inspection, inspectors will need to speak to staff on in a range of different roles. They will do so in line with our code of conduct, and at
Mm.
all times act with professionalism, courtesy, empathy, and respect. It's those words that are coming out time and time again. I mean,
And they also encourage the head teacher to read the code of conduct.
yeah. My biggest concern is
Mm.
from this. It's great. It's a
Mm.
massive step in the right direction. But what we need to do is hear this from head teachers and school leaders
Experiencing it.
who are experiencing and see if it is actually happening.
Yeah,
I hope it is.
I hope so. I know from our community who talk to us, they have noticed that some inspectors or inspections have been more positive than they were expecting.
Yeah.
And so that's a good sign. We've heard of less people who are having a negative experience
Yeah.
recently, I would say, wouldn't you?
There have been a few.
There's been a few, but less of them. More of them have been coming out saying, actually, it was
With a
actually
positive
very
effect.
supportive. So that's a good sign. Um, so yeah.
So the next point would be, it's again, is all centered around the changes within Ofsted. Is actually they have a pausing policy now. So if something happens in the inspection
Mm.
that they feel like they need to pause the inspection,
Mm.
there is actually a very clear guidance of what actually happens in that situation.
Paragraph 127. And again, there's all the way through the handbook, it does say if the head teacher has any concerns or the leaders have any concerns during the inspection, they have the opportunity to ask for clarification and for information, and that they can even, they can even contact Ofsted the day after the inspection if they need to. So there's a lot of what's the word? There's a
There's a lot of positive
they've
changes.
listened. I think I can see that they've listened.
Yeah,
Which is good.
yeah. And it says, paragraph 127, to be clear on what we're talking about and where it's from. There is maybe exceptional occasions when a pause to an inspection needs to be considered.
Yeah, so
So it's in writing.
they've built it in, which is important. And then the next one sort of talks about the wider picture, really, doesn't it? There's two things that Jonathan and I were chatting about, saying they haven't had enough time to consider fully yet, that everybody was calling for change on. And the first one was, if a school goes into a category because of just because of safeguarding, then lots of people, lots of organizations were calling for that to change, because actually that's only one area. The rest of the school might be great, but that one area of safeguarding might not be. And what they've said is that
Is where a school is judged to have serious weaknesses solely due to safeguarding, we will return within 3 months of the publication of the graded inspection report for an early monitoring inspection.
yeah, so we're reading the Ofsted handbook here. It's not us that's going to be going in.
No,
So, so yeah, there's a nod towards the fact that they are considering a change there. And in the BBC's report yesterday, they did mention that as well. I'm just trying to find it. So over the next I'm quoting the BBC article, over the next 3 months, Ofsted will also explore having safeguarding as a standalone judgment rather than part of the leadership and management grade. So that's a positive sign. And then the other thing we were chatting about, isn't mentioned in the update, is this whole area of this one word summary.
yeah.
But in the BBC article, the Martin Oliver is quoted to say, tragedies should never have happened. And that, hang on, bear with. Um,
I mean, if I carry on, we go back to that point at the moment. There's also the final changes within the whole document is the streamlining of the reporting process. Again, if we look back to the tragic incident that happened, actually that whole process of not being able to discuss it with anyone, having it strictly confidential, and all that has changed.
Yeah.
Now you can talk to I can't remember
I think there was a key person, wasn't
a
there?
key person that you can talk to, discuss things with. So they have listened to that point and have made some changes on it. So, and they streamlined the whole process of sharing a draft inspection report and raising concerns. And so, I mean, this is from the new handbook. So, paragraph 178, a great majority of our work is carried out smoothly and without incident. If concerns do arise during the inspection, they should be raised with the lead inspector as soon as possible in order to resolve the issues before the inspection is completed. Any concerns raised and action taken will be recorded in the inspection evidence. If there is a concern that is not possible to resolve with the lead inspector during the inspection, the head teacher and other senior teachers and local authority or the trust representative can contact a senior Ofsted leader using the number provided as part of the notification process.
That's a good point, actually, because what happens if you don't think of something until after the inspection has finished? Because the report is lovely and clear. It does say all the way through, if you have any concerns, seek clarifications with the inspectors during the inspection. And it is nice and clear like that. But I wonder, and maybe this is something we'll all learn along the way, is what happens if after the inspection is finished, maybe when the report comes out, think, actually, I now have a question.
Yeah,
What happens then?
exactly. So they have got something in place.
They're definitely moving in the right direction. And going back to what the quote that I was trying to spot on the BBC article, sorry everyone, was, we know we still need, this is to Martin Oliver talking to the BBC, he says, we know we still need to do more and we will do more. So, and he said, nothing is off the table. So that sounds promising.
It does.
It does sound promising, but as you say, I think the proof will be in the pudding.
I think that is the key bit.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, it goes one step in that right
it
direction.
goes once, and actually, at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants is somebody who's going to listen, who's going to act, appropriately, and who's going to make things better for everyone involved, including the children and the parents and the community, not just the staff and the teachers. It's everybody that's impacted by the inspection system. So
But the other point is, I think we still need an inspection system that doesn't have the one word judgment.
yeah,
I think that at the end of the day,
mm,
that is one of the major parts of the inspection process
which
that
makes it so stressful.
that makes it so stressful, and so much is still dependent on that one word. And actually, we see it all the time. It's sort of like you see it in the newspapers. These schools are inadequate. These schools are require improvement, and actually, it takes a long time to get that reputation to be built up. There's still changes to happen, and we also got to be in the political landscape of this year. We've probably got a general election.
Mm,
There's a lot of changes that are probably going to have to happen to the OFSTED during that time as well. So it's an interesting year. I think it's a step in the right direction,
yeah, yeah,
but I still would like them to go further.
yeah. And it'll be great to sort of hear your feedback to us as well. Keep us informed. Let us know how you're getting on. If you need any help, we are here to support you. That's what we do.
Has anyone
Um,
read the report? Has anyone got any other views on?
yeah. If you want to join in the conversation, feel free to do so.
I'll try to do a sort of like a very quick
Run through.
overview of what's going on with the OFSTED handbook,
Yeah,
and hopefully it's helped you this evening and sort of like
yeah,
to
yeah.
um,
Yeah, so I mean, like,
give you
join
a
in the
bit of an insight.
conversation, either send us a message or send us an email, info@headteacherchat.com. For those of you who have purchased our Ofsted PDFs on our website, I have updated the telephone call one, and everybody got a free update. So you were sent that automatically. So no, don't fear. It's in your inbox already. Um,
And there is
so
a detailed blog on the summary of what our views are of the
yeah,
summary of the
yeah.
Ofsted.
So we've summarised this conversation in a blog on the website too, headteacherchat.com. So you can head over there and have a look at the blog if you want to kind of have a summary of information. Maybe you're going to talk to governors about the changes. Maybe you're going to talk to the staff about the changes. Just take the blog with you, or give you all the information you need. And feel free to look at the PDFs and see if they help you too. But yeah, I think we've covered all the main changes. At the moment, I feel optimistic. And it's definitely a step in the right direction. I don't know about you. How do you feel?
How do I feel? I agree with you. It is a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
I want to see it on the ground of what people are actually saying.
yeah,
And we have conversation are they actually doing what they say on the tin, basically?
Yeah. And
Because it's been a rocky journey over the last year, and this is a positive sign that things are changing. And yeah, I just hope they get away from that one
one
word
word judgment.
judgment.
Well, I think so far so good. Let's hope it carries on. So
Anyway,
yeah, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We hope it was helpful. If you want to get in touch, just DM us or chat underneath this spaces.
we could talk about the bet.
We could.
On Thursday, we
Yeah,
were at bet. We're doing a chat
we are doing a chat.
with
It's not like us, is it? Chatting.
with Dave Leonard from Amni and Ed from
Elementary.
Elementary. So we're looking forward to doing that. We're in the Smart Tech VIP lounge.
Yes, if you're around at Bet at 11 o'clock, guess what? You can come and meet us. It's only a small room, so it's just a few of us. We're going to be chatting about all things EdTech and what school leaders need to know about it. But afterwards, this is the best bit, which I think, you get a free lunch. I mean,
So
how
be
often
quick.
do we get a free lunch?
Hat bet.
Yeah, at Bet, especially. So the fabulous guys of Elementary Technology are putting on a free lunch. So if you're around, come and find us in the Smart VIP Lounge. First come, first serve, so be quick. There will be plenty of nice food for you to enjoy, and probably a quieter space for a bit of a break as well. Come and have a chat with us. Come and learn about AI and technology and all of that sort of stuff. Ask questions that you've got. That's what we're there to do. So yeah, come and say hello.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the end of the
that
Twitter Spaces.
that is.
Thank you for joining us.
You haven't got a quote.
No, I
We've got-
think we'll leave it at that one.
Yeah, we've done enough quotes today. haven't we? So yeah, well, thank you ever so much, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Take care.